Very recently, I opened my Instagram and I saw a post on my Instagram that said Jon Jones versus Nate Diaz in a Russian Ultimate Fighting type reality TV show. You know, I finally have said enough is enough. I have to make a video on Jon Jones doing anything but fighting Tom Aspinall. So I, Tony Has Died, will be going through the entire timeline of Jones ducking Aspinall. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Let's get straight into this video. March of 2023, Jon Jones returns to the UFC after losing to Dominic Reyes. Has been hiding the entire time from Francis Ngannou. He always had been teasing about moving up to heavyweight, but you know, he always said that DC would be too much for him at heavyweight. He waited for Ngannou to retire, and so then he saw Ciryl Gane at the top of the division. He saw Ciryl Gane at the top of the division and said, hey, there's a guy that I could beat. There's a guy that has literally no grappling whatsoever. A guy that got taken down by Francis Ngannou. I could beat that guy for the title shot. So Jon waited for Ngannou to retire. The original person he ducked, we will not forget. He waited for Ngannou to retire and he fought Ciryl Gane and submitted him in the first round. Very impressive stuff, Jon. Very impressive. Then, October 2023 for UFC 295, Jon is scheduled to fight Stipe Miocic. However, he tore his pec in sparring. And so, the fight, there was supposed to be a backup fighter, which was Sergey Pavlovich. And he was supposed to step up and fight Stipe. But Stipe said, no, I don't want to fight anyone but Jon. The only reason I'm coming back is for Jon. So the UFC grabs Tom Aspinall, who had just come back after an injury, and they said, all right, you're going to fight for the interim heavyweight champion. And so, UFC 295, Aspinall fights Sergey Pavlovich, knocks him out in the first round out cold. I was actually there in person and watched Sergey Pavlovich get starched, and Tom Aspinall became the interim UFC champion. So, now that there exists the interim UFC champion, you think that, okay, the Stipe fight, it's out the window now. You have to fight the person who's the number one contender who holds a belt in your division. But, unfortunately, Jon Jones hints at retirement following his injury, but then suggests, I don't want to fight Aspinall. I want to fight Alex Pereira. He's at the top of his division. Do you know why? Because he saw Alex Pereira has no grappling whatsoever. Same with Ciryl Gane. Jon Jones is trying to get the easiest fights in the division, and it's not a fucking question, okay? I don't know how you can look at this situation. It's been going on for 2 years now. 2 years! The interim champion has not unified the belt. I mean, the fucking undisputed champion has not unified the belt with the interim champion. So how can you look at this and say that Jon Jones isn't ducking? So then, December of 2023, everyone says Jon Jones is a duck. Jon Jones is a duck. And then he says, I'm living my absolute best life, man. If you think I'm ducking, I'm not ducking, bro. I'm the fucking go to the sport. You know, he basically pulls out every excuse in the bag as to why he doesn't need to fight Tom Aspinall. First, he says Aspinall doesn't deserve it. How can you say that? He's literally the interim champion. He's beaten everyone in the division in the top 5 except for Ciryl Gane, and he'll probably be fighting Ciryl Gane soon since this whole duck situation can't get resolved. Then Jon said that Tom was asking for too much money, but then Tom goes onto a podcast and says, I don't care how much money, I just want to be the champion. I'll give Jon my entire purse. And Jon had nothing to say about that one. Then Jon says, I just don't like Tom's personality. Okay, Tom is being a very nice person to you. There's a lot of things you've done in the past, like beat your wife, hit a pregnant woman with a car, that he could definitely bring up and talk about. But all he says is, hey Jon, I've got nothing against you. I just want to fight you for the belt. But Jon Jones is still not happy with that. He's making up basically every excuse in the book. Then Jon claimed that he owed Stipe the fight. You know who you owe the fight to? Probably the interim champion of the division, who actually defended his interim championship. Why does number 4 inactive since 2021 Stipe deserve a title shot? This makes no sense at all. And as usual, Jon's excuse has paled in comparison. Then Jon floated the idea of retirement after fighting Stipe. However, he didn't really retire. He just said, if I don't get to fight Alex Pereira, I'm going to retire. What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you still holding on to the belt? You know, none of this would even be a problem if you retired. We could say, okay, he's a duck. He didn't fight Aspinall. But, you know, it's an excusable situation. Like, I think almost everyone would be fine if John Jones gave up the belt and said, look, man, I'm getting up there in age. This Tom Aspinall guy, he's too big of a risk for my career. I don't want to fight him. Here's the belt. Good luck, Johnny boy. Have a good day. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is John holding up the division and making the interim champion have to defend his belt. The interim champion has a title defense. Think about that shit. So then, John also blames that there wasn't enough money, interested in fighting Alex Pereira. He said he's living his best life. All of the excuses in the book you can basically pull out to not fight this guy. You know why? Because he's basically finished every single person in the first round, in the first 20 seconds. John Jones is a coward, and there's no getting behind that. So then, in 2024, November, John successfully defends his heavyweight title against Stipe, and then again he teases retirement. So now, Tom Aspinall has defended his belt as the interim champion, and John Jones has defended his belt against 40-year-old Stipe Miocic. And he's the one that says that Tom Aspinall, oh, you hear that, guys? Tom Aspinall isn't the one that's deserving. No, the guy who knocked out Curtis Blaze, the guy who knocked out Volkov, or submitted Volkov, the guy who knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, the guy that knocked out every single fucking heavyweight in the roster, doesn't deserve fight the guy who lost to Dominic Reyes. See, that makes a lot of sense. So I have decided to make a petition. It already has over 1,000 signatures. This petition is to make John Jones get stripped of the belt so that the heavyweight division can move on without him. It's not worth it. What is happening right now is just a complete disgrace to the sport. So John Jones says that Tom Aspinall doesn't deserve to fight because of his behavior and how he's been treating him. So let's see John Jones's timeline of controversy. And let's see why he's still allowed in the UFC and he's allowed to fight for the heavyweight belt, but Tom Aspinall isn't. So in May 2012, John Jones got arrested for a DUI. He crashed his fucking Bentley into a pole in Birmingham, New York. And he was arrested for driving under the influence. He pleaded guilty. 2014, John Jones gets into a fist fight with DC at a press conference. Multiple women were put in the fucking way of this, and he was fined by the Nevada Athletic Commission. December of 2014, John Jones tests positive for cocaine. He's not punished by the UFC, but it just shows that he's a degenerate and he's been living his life not like how he's supposed to. April of 2015, this was the worst thing he did. He's involved with a hit and run involving a pregnant woman. He flees the scene, but then he gets caught because he left some cash in his car, and so he decides to come back and get the cash out of his car. So then he's stripped of the belt, and he's put on an 18-month suspension. In this meantime, he fails another USADA test with 3 days out from UFC 200, and he's suspended for a year. It was a picogram. It was only a picogram. You're doing fucking drugs, dude. You're fucking juiced up like he's juiced up like Tropicana, as Chael Sonnen would say. So stay with me here, guys. 2017, John Jones' win over Daniel Cormier in a different bout gets overturned due to another steroid failure. So now he has the most failures in UFC history. 2019, a cocktail waitress accuses John Jones of trying to kiss her and slapping her. So then he pleads no contest to a battery charge. 2020, he gets another DUI and weapons charge, and he gets arrested for negligent use of a firearm because he was shooting a gun in the city. 2021, he gets arrested for domestic violence only hours after being inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, where he assaulted his fiancée in front of his fucking kids. And then in 2023, he comes back and he's able to fight for the belt. So John Jones can do all of this terrible stuff, and he's deserving to fight for the belt. But Tom Aspinall, who has been nothing but an upstanding citizen of society, is out here training hard every day, following his dreams. He's not allowed to fight for the belt. Dana White, you're a piece of shit for letting John Jones still be in the promotion after all of the terrible and evil things he's done in this world. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. It's really, really a disgrace to the sport to have John Jones still around. Even if he is the GOAT of the sport, we should have standards. I know this is cage fighting, but you shouldn't be able to be a literal multiple-time felon and still get paid millions of dollars by Dana White. That's just my opinion, though. So let's keep continuing with some of the other stuff that John's been up to. I saw him riding on a motorcycle today on my Instagram feed. Everyone's seen the Guru videos of him being sus, and I haven't really ever been a believer of these videos until I saw the video on my feed today, which was John Jones smelling another man's hair on the back of a motorcycle, looking out of his mind on some type of substance, while Tom Aspinall is out here training to fight for a belt. John Jones is in Malaysia, fucking probably trying to get with some, not Malaysia. Was it Malaysia? It's somewhere in the fucking Asia. He's somewhere. He's like with fucking Korean Zombie or something, bro. But John Jones is just being a degenerate, as usual. And I just don't know why the UFC continues to put up with John Jones. So that's why I created the petition. Sign the petition today, and let's show the UFC that we as fans want John Jones to be stripped of the belt once and for all, so that we can just move on without him. He deserves no legacy. In any other sport, if someone pops for steroids, they're not considered the GOAT. Barry Bonds in baseball. If you pop for steroids in any other sport, you're basically disqualified. You have no like, why do we treat Dillashaw so hard? But Jones still gets to be the GOAT of the sport. Fuck John Jones. He's a piece of shit. And Tom Aspinall is the real champ. And anyone that knows ball knows that. Alright? If you know ball, you know that. Alright? Thank you. Have a good day. Like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Thank you. Have a good day. Goodbye.